Many IELTS General students struggle with writing letters in Writing Task 1 because they don't know what they need to do to get a Band 7 or higher. But if you know how the IELTS examiner scores your letter, it becomes easier to get a Band 7+. This video is a comprehensive guide for IELTS General Writing Task 1. By the end of this video, you will know how the examiner marks your letter and what you have to do to get a Band 7 or above. By the way, if you are going to take your IELTS General exam soon, check out my IELTS General materials. There I teach you everything you need to score high. I show you step by step how to give high-scoring answers. And of course, we do many practice tests together, so you will feel confident for your test. You can find the link in the description box. And now, let's get started. Let's start with something fundamental, understanding the 3 different letter types you might encounter in IELTS General Training Writing Task 1. This is crucial because the type of letter determines which tone and overall approach you have to use to get a Band 7 or higher. First, there are formal letters. These are typically written to people you don't know personally or to organizations and institutions. Examples include writing to a company to apply for a job or writing to a college requesting information. In formal letters, you need to use a respectful tone and avoid contractions or colloquial expressions. Next, we have semi-formal letters. These are usually written to people you know in a professional capacity, but don't have a close personal relationship with. For instance, writing to your landlord about a repair issue or writing to your manager requesting time off. Semi-formal letters require a polite tone, but allow for a slightly more relaxed approach than formal letters. Finally, there are informal letters. These are written to people you know well, like friends or family members. For example, writing to a friend to invite them to a celebration, or writing to a relative sharing some good news. Informal letters allow for a conversational tone, contractions, and colloquial expressions. Understanding the type of letter required by the task is essential for achieving a Band 7 or higher. If you use an informal tone in a formal letter or vice versa, your score for task achievement will be lower. So always read the question carefully to identify who you're writing to and adjust your style accordingly. Tip number 2 is to use a variety of sentence structures in your letter. This is essential for scoring well in the grammatical range and accuracy criterion, which accounts for 25% of your total score. To achieve Band 7+, you need to demonstrate to the IELTS examiner that you can use both simple and complex sentence structures accurately. For example, using conditionals, the passive voice, and relative clauses can help you increase your band score. Let's compare 2 paragraphs of a letter to see the difference. This paragraph uses mostly simple sentences. I want to apply for the position. I saw your advertisement in the newspaper. I have 5 years of experience. I worked at a similar company. I can start immediately. This paragraph used a variety of sentence structures. I am writing to apply for the position that was advertised in yesterday's newspaper. Having worked at a similar company for 5 years, I have developed the skills and experience required for this role. Although I am currently employed, I would be available to start work immediately if my application is successful. As you can see, the second example demonstrates a much better range of grammatical structures. It uses complex sentences with dependent clauses, passive voice, and perfect tenses. However, remember that it's better to use simpler structures correctly than to attempt complex ones with mistakes. Aim for a good balance of simple, compound, and complex sentences, all used accurately and appropriately. To make sure that you use a broad variety of sentence structures, use templates. My templates give you sentence starters that work for every letter in IELTS General Writing Task 1. The sentence starters include different sentence structures, so you can show the IELTS examiner that you know how to write complex sentences. This can help you improve your band score. For example, if you want to ask for information in a formal letter, my template gives you this sentence starter. I would be grateful if you could provide me with. This sentence is complex because it uses a polite conditional clause. This shows the IELTS examiner that you know how to use conditionals. To get all the templates you need, click on the link in the description. Tip number 4 is to use linking words and phrases to connect your ideas smoothly. They help your writing flow logically and make it easier for the IELTS examiner to follow your thoughts. Using appropriate linking words and phrases is crucial for scoring high in the coherence and cohesion criterion, which accounts for 25% of your total score. To achieve Band 7 or higher, you need to show that you can use a variety of cohesive devices accurately and appropriately. For example, to add information, you can use linking words like additionally, furthermore, moreover, or in addition. To contrast information, you can use however, nevertheless, on the other hand, despite this. Let's see how linking words can improve the flow of your letter. Here is a paragraph without linking words. I want to complain about my hotel room. The air conditioning doesn't work. The shower is broken. I want a refund. Here is a paragraph with the linking words. I am writing to express my dissatisfaction with my hotel room. Firstly, the air conditioning does not work properly, making it impossible to sleep comfortably at night. Furthermore, the shower in the bathroom is broken, which has caused significant inconvenience during my stay. As a result of these issues, I would like to request a full refund. Here you can see that the second example flows much better and shows a clear relationship between ideas. Therefore, this paragraph will get a higher score. Tip number 5 is to follow the correct structure for your letter. A well-structured letter makes a great first impression on the examiner and helps you organize your ideas logically. All letters, regardless of type, should include an opening paragraph explaining why you're writing, body paragraphs covering all the points requested in the task, and a closing paragraph with an appropriate sign-off. However, the specific format varies depending on the letter type. For formal letters, you should include a formal salutation like Dear Sir, Madam, or Dear Mr. Miss, a formal closing like Yours faithfully or Yours sincerely, and a full name as a signature. For semi-formal letters, you have to include a semi-formal salutation, a semi-formal closing like Kind regards or Best regards, and a first name and surname. By contrast, for informal letters, you should use an informal salutation like Dear or Hi, an informal closing like Best wishes, Cheers, or Love, and just a first name. Following the appropriate structure for each letter type shows the examiner that you understand the conventions of English letter writing. This contributes directly to your task achievement score, which is one of the 4 criteria used to assess your writing. By the way, if you want more videos for IELTS General Writing, click the like button and write yes in the comments. If you want something else, tell me your video wish in the comments so I know what you would like to see on this channel. Now, let's have a look at 5 more tips that help you score high in Writing Task 1. My next tip is absolutely crucial. Address all the bullet points mentioned in the task. In IELTS General Writing Task 1, you'll typically be given a situation and 3 bullet points outlining the specific information you need to include in your letter. For example, if the task asks you to write to your landlord about a problem with your apartment, you might see bullet points like explain what the problem is, describe how it affects you, say what action you would like the landlord to take. It's essential that you cover all these points in your letter. Failing to address even one bullet point will significantly reduce your task achievement score, making it very difficult to achieve Band 7 or higher. A good strategy is to dedicate at least 1 paragraph to each bullet point. This ensures you give sufficient detail for each point and makes it clear to the examiner that you've fulfilled all requirements of the task. When planning your letter, note down the key ideas for each bullet point. Then, as you write, make sure to fully develop each point with explanations, reasons, or examples as appropriate. This way, you'll demonstrate to the examiner that you can communicate effectively in writing for a given purpose. Remember that task achievement carries 25% of your total score, so addressing all bullet points thoroughly is essential for achieving Band 7+. Tip number 7 is to use the appropriate level of formality based on the letter type. This is one of the most common mistakes test takers make. Some test takers use overly formal language in an informal letter or casual expressions in a formal letter. For formal letters, you should use full forms instead of contractions. For example, write I am instead of I'm. You should also include sophisticated vocabulary, complex sentence structures, and maintain a respectful, impersonal tone. Let's take a look at an example of a formal complaint letter. I am writing to express my dissatisfaction with the service I received at your restaurant on May 5th. For semi-formal letters, limited use of contractions is acceptable. There should be a mix of simple and complex sentences, and you should use a polite but slightly more personal tone. For example, in a letter to your landlord, you could write, I'm writing regarding the heating system in my apartment, which has not been functioning properly for the past week. For informal letters, use contractions and include colloquial expressions and phrasal verbs. Also, use a personal and conversational tone. You can even include humor, exclamations, and direct questions. For example, in a letter to a friend, you could write like this. Hey, guess what? I finally got my driving license. Took me 3 attempts, but I made it. The IELTS examiner is specifically looking for your ability to adapt your writing style to different contexts, so mastering this skill is essential for a Band 7+ score. Tip number 8 is to demonstrate advanced vocabulary through paraphrasing. This is crucial for scoring high in the lexical resource criterion, which accounts for 25% of your total score. Paraphrasing means expressing the same idea, using different words and structures. It allows you to showcase your vocabulary range and avoid repetition in your writing. Let's look at some examples of effective paraphrasing. Instead of repeatedly using happy, you could use delighted, pleased, thrilled, or overjoyed. Instead of always saying bad, you could use unsatisfactory, disappointing, substandard, or inadequate. When giving you a score for lexical resource, the examiner will check whether you show a broad range of vocabulary. So don't forget to paraphrase. My next tip is to include relevant detail and examples in your letter. This is essential for fully developing your response and achieving a high score in the task achievement criterion. Simply addressing the bullet points in a basic way is not enough for Band 7+. You need to expand on each point with appropriate details, explanations, or examples that are relevant to the task. This shows the examiner that you can communicate effectively and provide sufficient information for your purpose. Let's compare these examples. The heating in my apartment doesn't work. It's very cold. Please fix it. The central heating system in my apartment has not been functioning properly for the past week. Despite setting the thermostat to 22 degrees, the temperature rarely exceeds 15 degrees, which is particularly problematic in the evenings when the temperature outside drops significantly. I have tried resetting the system according to the manual provided, but this has not resolved the issue. As you can see, the second example provides specific details about how long the problem has existed, the specific nature of the problem, the impact of the problem, and what has already been tried to fix it. This level of detail fulfills the task requirement more effectively and also demonstrates your ability to communicate precisely in English. By including such relevant details, you show that you can develop your ideas fully and communicate with purpose and clarity. These are essential skills for achieving Band 7+. My final tip is to proofread your letter carefully for accuracy. This step is often overlooked in the pressure of the exam, but it's crucial for maximizing your score, especially in the grammatical range and accuracy criterion. Even small errors can impact your band score significantly. At Band 7+, the IELTS examiner expects to see many error-free sentences with only occasional errors. This means you need to minimize grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, and punctuation issues. That's it. That's the ultimate guide for scoring Band 7+ on IELTS General Writing Task 1. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their IELTS General Writing score too. See you in the next video.